Good evening, and welcome to Doctorpiece Theater. My name is Dr. Dennis Business, and tonight we continue our dive into This Is Why I Hate You. Chapter 2, A Need to Breed. It's been weeks since I last wrote in this journal. You could assume this was due to laziness, but I rarely suffer from that degenerative disease. Here's the thing. I don't know what being unmotivated even feels like. I don't have the ability to sit around and loathe the idea of doing anything outside of wasting my life being lethargic. If something needs to be done, I can do it. I won't complain, I won't self-pity, I will do what is necessary. This journal has not been a priority to me till now. My mother, Sarah Gale, taught me from day one to never feel sorry for myself, to never give up on what I believe in, and never miss a positive opportunity when it's sitting right in front of me. She taught me a lot of things before she died. I could not be more grateful for her. The fact that she's dead in place of my father is a reality that drives me insane every time I'm reminded of it. It took him all of 3 weeks to get a girlfriend after she died. He was in the hospital with her every day, talking about how much he loved her. Then she died, and what seemed like only a few blinks later, he literally got with a nurse who was working at the same goddamn hospital my mom drew her last breath in. Her seduction of my freshly widowed father is one of the many reasons why I hate that bleach blonde double-chinned freak. You could say she just felt sympathetic towards my father, having just seen him lose his wife. You might believe she just wanted him to feel better, but you would be wrong. If she really even cared about doing what was right, she would have given him time. Instead, she took advantage of a desperate man in a tragic situation. Seeing this woman's limp legs dragging from the side of a dumpster with garbage stains smeared down her calves would disturb me less than seeing her kiss my father. She's an invader. She's the destroyer of what little peace I had left in my own home. Jerry is already talking about her moving in soon, which means I will become even more forgotten in this household than I already am. Literally, sports are of greater importance to Jerry than me. You got that right. Another fat American white guy who watches sports. They're a dime a million. My father is a wart on the backside of the human species. Speaking of sports, I fantasized about a massive weapon going off in the middle of a major sporting event. Sure, it would be so incredibly sad. The horror, I know. Meanwhile, from a logical standpoint, the world really wouldn't suffer much after losing a condensed population of wasted and aimless lives, aka the millions of sports fans infesting this planet. Those tiny insects gathered together watching one half brain-dead man throw a ball to another half brain-damaged man so we can just reach a made-up and meaningless goal. For what purpose do people professionally play sports? So they can collect millions of dollars yearly until their knees give out or their head gets cracked open. Then what? The majority of professional football players go bankrupt after they retire. What was it all worth? Would you not trade your memories for a body that isn't broken? It's just a game of numbers. There's no real depth. And it's all so simple. Holy fuck. The mere lack in intelligence or creativity is why so many generic and useless minds gravitate towards it. Tired of getting confused by the complex reality of human existence? Here, monkey, watch sports. Then you won't have to think anymore. And while you're at it, drink a beer. That'll dumb down your potential to do anything worthwhile with your time. But some madman setting off a weapon in a stadium. What does one insect killing a bunch of other insects really accomplish? Nothing. There will always be more bugs to fill the gap, to continue the endless infestation and consumption of the world's natural resources. I can hate the people in this world, and I take satisfaction in the thought of them dying. But I remain unwilling to do anything about their lives, as there is simply no point. Our lives are pointless. To end a life is no easy task. You can pull a trigger, and in the physical sense, that's one of the simplest things you can do. But I'm not a sociopath. I'm not so stupid I can't see what a coward I really am. I struggle with my will to live as is. Spilling blood on my hands would only give me another reason to duct tape a plastic bag around my head and walk off the edge of a building. Which would make no sense. My life is so pointless it makes me sick. Living in general is pointless, but dying serves no purpose either. So what do? Of course, I follow the pack and wait till the clock stops ticking. None of this is why I'm updating my journal. Ironically, despite my murderous imagination, I've managed to find myself in a completely contradictory position. The truth is, I recently started dating a girl at school named Ashley. I know what you might be thinking. Arthur, you've done nothing but hate on the entire human species up to this point. Why would you date one of them? The honest answer to that is she clearly likes me and I'm available. Ashley has been in my third period class for some time now. There's a reason she's laughed at every other thing I've said in the class. It's more than evident she likes me, because I rarely talk, and when I do, what I'm saying isn't funny, but yet she still finds amusement in every other sentence and regularly smiles at me. Ashley is a good-looking girl. She is pale-skinned, short, brunette. I really like her smile, too. If that wasn't enough, my body, like most every other male body on this planet, demands I be physical with someone. So why not her? This is the human condition. We build illusions around our lives. Love, friendship, and family. We think we take part in these aspects of life because we want to. As if any of it is truly a product of authentic free will. If I were a robot that had the ability to learn and reflect on my existence, I might have a chance at free will. Without desires or body influences, me choosing to be with someone despite there being no clear advantage to my programming, operations, or physical body. I could argue the connection with them was legitimate. Now humans? We don't choose to be lonely or to have these desires, so how can we pretend free will was ever an option? Free will is the ability to act on one's own discretion. Discretion is the ability to decide what should and what should not be done. How you can make your own decisions when really your body is most always doing that for you. If I had free will, I could choose to be gay. I could choose to be happy when I looked in the mirror. I could choose to enjoy life to its fullest, but I can't. I have a war going on in my mind, likely because I'm 17 and am no doubt developing mentally. Teenagers like me are key examples of these influences destroying our free will. They leave us in shackles. Most of us are too stupid to know they're there. I admire their bliss if it wasn't paired with their undeniable mental inferiority. Ashley is a product of my imprisonment. I literally have millions of little potential human lives screaming within me to impregnate her as soon as humanly possible. If we were to reproduce, I would no doubt love the children she produced. This is, of course, because if I didn't love them, then they would be less likely to effectively survive. If our species collectively lost love for children, our species itself would begin to die off. We would leave our children in the streets to die. We wouldn't feed them or at times even risk our safety for them because we weren't pre-programmed to care. Free will? It's a joke so ridiculously personal you can't even laugh. All most of us do is pretend we never got slammed with the reality of our true condition so we can continue believing that the lie is freedom. You, reading this right now, will think about your little life in response to this information. You may even admit how insignificant it is. But what will you do then? Nothing. You'll barely remember these words in a week, maybe as soon as 12 hours from now. So we do this so we can continue existing without disrupting seemingly endless years worth of evolution. You don't think there was a fail-safe put in your brain to deal with the possibility that you might actually realize one day that it's all for nothing? We're all animals, that's a fact. We're holding out in hope someday that we evolve into something that might actually offer some value to the universe. Aside from being self-aware as to how trivial and generic my increasing feelings for Ashley are, I've already begun to gratify myself to her. I regularly imagine unleashing inside her, having kids with her, and I actually feel authentic admiration for such an outcome. Sometimes I think about her begging me to impregnate her. The mere notion ignites arousal in both my body and mind. I'm such a puppet of biological programming, and so are all of you. Ashley's voice is one I could easily enjoy listening to for some time. Her facial projections are beyond sufficient, and she's generally healthy, likely more so than me. What I like most about Ashley is she has very few beliefs, just like I do. You may ask yourself as to how I could say I don't have many beliefs when it's pretty clear I've been expressing a number of opinions since the beginning of this journal. The blunt truth is, most everything I say, the activities in my life and my mentality are all in some way based significantly on facts. Facts are the enemy of beliefs. The more you base your beliefs on facts, the fewer traits they share with opinions. The more I learn, the more what I believe turns into what I know. Now, before I end this chapter, I'd like to mention something I went through late last week with Ashley. There's this guy, John. He hangs out with the jocks at our school. I'm fairly certain I'm going to beat the living hell out of him due to what Ashley recently told me about him. According to her during school, she was walking to her next class and he put his hands on her hips to stop so they could talk. He didn't have anything much to say to her, so it was obvious what he was doing was purely inspired by perverted intentions. He's a teenage boy going through a lot of physical changes, but that's no excuse to put your hands on a woman. Now I realize how primitive it is for me to mark my territory, so to speak. It is also primitive to try and solve your problems with physical fights, but that's not why I'm going on about this. Many human beings are saturated with violent and perverse thoughts, men especially. On average, the male gender requires copulating with other human beings. These human beings are often females who appear to be capable of bearing children. John putting his hands on my girlfriend was about more than the single physical act. He took his common desires and thrust them upon someone without an invitation. Essentially, he sexually assaulted her. Ashley didn't ask for that. When I have violent or perverted thoughts, I express them in this journal. I don't go out and grope people. There's no rational justification for it. John made one of the biggest mistakes he'll likely ever make. He broke the wall of civility and turned his hormone-driven thoughts into action. I feel I should show him what it's like when people don't keep their physical desires to themselves. My girlfriend was clearly not interested in being touched, but in violating her rights, he asked everyone who cares about Ashley to violate his. Thank you for giving me this excuse, John. That was chapter 2 of This Is Why I Hate You. And I learned something today. 2 things, actually. I don't like what this book says. I don't like how it says it. And I don't like why it says it. Number 2, Greg thinks he's too special to kill himself. All the other human beings on the planet, they're indispensable, but he's too special to kill himself. But we'll talk about that another time. This has been Dr. Piece Theater, and my name is Dr. Dennis Business. And as always, my friends,